ready?
Welcome to Bookworms. This is a bonus episode with me, Joe, as your host, and our guest host, Becky.
It's me. I'm here.
Yeah, you're here again, and we're glad to have you.
Much to everyone's chagrin.
I don't know about that, but so we're doing something a little different here. Becky does not have a book for us.
I was told I can't read anymore this year.
She told me that she couldn't do any more podcasts because she didn't know how to read books for a podcast anymore.
I don't.
So what we're doing is kind of like what Alex and I did at the end of last season, and where Alex read a book and described it to me. So this time I read a book, and I'm going to describe it to Becky. This is a book that I read for a book club that I didn't really want to, where I didn't really initially want to read, but Becky talked me into it. And it turned out it was a good book. So here we are.
You're welcome.
That was where you're going to leave me hanging there.
Anytime.
So the book, it is a genre I don't normally read. It's more of a thriller. It's called None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. And when I first read the description, I thought, I was like, oh, this is going to be one of those man-hating feminist books. Oh, boy. And to be honest, the first couple chapters weren't looking very good. You're like, it was going to prove me right.
It's good for you.
And I read, did a little bit of research on the author, and that's, just her picture on the book cover, the sleeve, has that look of man-hating feminist. Not that I...
You're giving feminists a bad name right now.
I'm just saying, my perception of what was coming and how wrong I was.
You're misrepresenting feminists. I just want to point that out.
I am not misrepresenting a certain subsect of feminists. I am not going after the main group of feminists, thank you very much, who are perfectly normal and perfectly correct people.
I wish there was a sound effect that could just do the blink blink thing.
So anyways,
my eyeballs.
Quick, I'll read the jacket cover description of the book here. Celebrating her 45th birthday at the Hut New local pub, popular podcaster Alex Summer crosses paths with an unassuming woman called Josie Fair. Josie, it turns out, is also celebrating her 45th birthday. They are, in fact, birthday twins. A few days later, Alex and Josie bump into each other again, this time outside Alex's children's school. Josie has been listening to Alex's podcast and thinks she might be an interesting subject for her series. She is, she tells Alex, on the cusp of great changes in her life. Josie's life appears to be strange and complicated, and although Alex finds her unsettling, she can't quite resist the temptation to keep going on the project. Slowly, she starts to realize that Josie is hiding some very dark secrets, and before she knows it, Josie has inveigled, Inveigled,
I have no idea.
her way into Alex's life and into her home. But as quickly as she had arrived, Josie Fair disappears. Only then does Alex discover that Josie has left a terrible and terrifying legacy in her wake, and that Alex has become the subject of her own true crime podcast, with her life and her family's lives in grave danger. #1 New York Times bestselling author Lisa Jewell delivers the book of her career in this absolute show-stopping work of She Said, where two women collide on their birthday night, forcing an unforgettable reckoning between two women with huge but very different ambitions for their lives. So yeah, said, not my typical book I would pick up, but said, it was for a book club that I attend to occasionally, and Becky said that I should take a chance on it.
So just from that description, it reminds me of a movie that I saw with Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively called A Simple Favor, where Blake Lively's character just like ups and leaves, supposedly. And then also crossed with this book that I read as a kid from I think it was originally written in the 1970s, called A Summer of Fear, where this teenage girl's cousin just sort of slowly takes over her life. So that is that's what I'm going into this with.
Okay.
1970s Anna Kendrick, Blake Lively. They should make a movie of that. I'd watch it. I'd watch that.
I don't think they had podcasting back then, though.
Wait.
But But yeah, so and again, a book about a podcaster seems kind of lame, most of the time in my opinion, because almost a little too on the nose. A little, maybe I'm just too old for these modern times, but
You are ancient.
I am ancient. And so, as I was explaining to Becky before we hit record, we're going to start at the beginning, which is actually starting at the end, where we get a little.
Does it get meta?
It does not get meta.
Oh.
But it has a guy drunk in a hotel with a random woman, and he's trying to go home to his wife, and he's steps outside the hotel, and it's not his wife in the van, and it's this woman. He's like, "Oh, I thought you were supposed to be gone." She's like, "Just get in the car and I'll take you home." And he's like, "Fine." And just really a lot of bad vibes. Okay, some scummy guy. As I said, I thought this was going to be hating on the men. They're all a bunch of dim-witted losers, and a bunch of women that are going to drag themselves out of some bad situations and go rah, rah, rah.
Go team.
And we get into the actual beginning of the story where we follow Josie Fair, who is trying to liven up her life a little bit. She has an older husband. She's realizing she is over the hill. And
she doesn't want to be Josie Grossi anymore.
Pretty much. That actually describes it pretty well. And they go to this very fancy new restaurant, and there she sees that some other woman who has the same birthday as her, same age as her, but who is living a completely different lifestyle. It's kind of that she looks like she's living the Instagram life. And this is Alex Summer. And you can see that Josie's already judging Alex's friends and husband as not being good people, but at the same time, she's intrigued and being drawn towards this person. So she quickly goes to stalking Alex after a brief encounter in the bathroom.
As one does.
Yep. Are you used to these kind of encounters, Becky? Is what you're saying?
Well, I have you.
You met me in a bathroom?
Close enough. It was a dorm room. I mean.
They're pretty much bathrooms. But yeah, so Josie goes home, internet stalks Alex, and does that creepy thing, and then figures out that Alex has children. She finds her Alex's Instagram, and again, is that picture perfect Instagram life that everyone's trying to put out there. And Josie's this mousy little woman that has a retired aging husband, a kid that doesn't leave the bedroom, and another kid that ran away. And they're living in this really bad part of town where the bus station is right outside and people can just look right into their apartment. Apparently they don't believe in curtains in London, England.
I think that's just a thing of big cities, though. You have curtains, but you also want daylight. And so you're like, it happens. Because all those reality shows that I watched with selling New York City and whatnot, you can see across the street and you can see the people during the daytime. So I
seems weird. Give me a cave any day of the week.
Someone please get him a cave. Preferably one with a high carbon monoxide.
Ouch. Moving on.
You said this was going to be torturous, so I'm getting the verbal darts ready.
What do you mean I said it was going to be torturous? For you or me?
You didn't explain that part. You just said it's going to be torturous.
Okay.
Got my darts ready.
That's what we're going with. Anyways, so Josie sets up a way that she can bump into Alex again outside Alex's children's school, which is also where Josie had sent her children when they were of school age, and starts up a conversation and gets to know Alex and says, "Oh yeah, I saw your podcast. That's very interesting." And like the description book says, "Interview me. I'm about to change my life." And Alex, who was bored of doing the interview she was doing because they were all getting kind of redundant, strong, powerful women that lived terrible lives under the thumb of men, and they became very successful businesswomen or entrepreneurs, philanthropers. Is that how you say it?
Yes.
I almost said Flanders.
Wrong word.
Philanthropers. And so Josie's, with this pitch, very thin, saying birthday twins, two very different lives, find out that they were born in the same hospital on the same day, all that fun stuff, and live very different lives. And comparing Alex's picture perfect life to Josie's crummy life, but how Josie's going to turn it around to be more like Alex. And she starts telling her story. She goes to Alex's house, and Alex has a little studio room in the back of her garden that her husband built her, and to record her podcast. You find out that her husband has a very successful career, but a drinking problem. And Josie starts to notice that this picture perfect woman isn't quite as picture perfect. She is a human being with all the flaws that every human being has.
Everyone poops.
Everyone poops. Though apparently Alex's bathrooms have all the highest priced soaps and toilet papers, so some of us have a little luxury in the bathrooms, I guess. But
Yes. Yes.
but yeah, so that's the beginning of the story. Any questions there, Becky? Pretty straightforward.
Yes.
Yeah. You have a question, or yes, straightforward?
I don't know. I think it would be so cool though to meet the birthday twins. So I met one person who has my birthday, but they're a year younger. However, my mom has always said that when she went in to give birth to me, it was apparently like the day to give birth. And she didn't even give birth in a labor room. It was like an OR or some sort of surgical prep area. It wasn't like a labor delivery room. And I was not delivered by a C-section. So an operating room would be weird, I think. But there were so many of us, and I did not meet one of those fuckers my entire time. And I did not leave the area. I was born in the hospital in my hometown, and I went to school in my hometown. So unless all of those people went to the private schools, where did they go? Where are they?
They all
I
had
have
money
questions.
and went to the private schools.
Probably.
Well, so I don't have a true birthday twin that I've met, but I do have two interesting ones. One is one of my closest friends from growing up. We found out late high school, even though we've been friends since we were 2 and 3. We grew up together. He's a year younger than me. We had the same birthday.
Yes, well, considering who that other person is, this doesn't surprise me at all.
It's Adam.
Adam's probably like, what? Me?
Pretty much. And the funny thing is, Adam forgets it every year. And I always say happy birthday. He's like, how do you remember this? It's like, Adam, it's the same as mine. Oh, yeah. Happy birthday.
You guys are adorable.
Yeah. And then I had another friend back in elementary school. He was born 4 hours after I was, but on a different day. So I was born almost at midnight, and he said he was born like 3 a.m.
The next day.
So we were close, and our moms were good friends, so we always hung out. So, but then they moved. So, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So that was the closest I came to birthday twins. Another weird fact: in the town I grew up in, of let's say like 1,000 people, my class in that town was, I think, like 27 kids.
You were all cousins.
We were not all cousins. Thank you very much. But a third of us were born within a month of each other.
Because you were cousins.
No, all my cousins were 2 towns over. Thank you very much.
I thought there was one that was like, oh, so-and-so that you played with was like your 4th cousin once removed or whatever.
Yeah, those are all from Temple.
2 towns over.
Yeah, 2 towns over.
It's my story. I'm sticking to it.
2 towns over. Thank you very much. Same school district, other side of the school district.
Well then.
Yes, I had a lot of 4th and 6th cousins that I went to high school with.
No comment. It's not the kind of conversation we should have here. Anywho,
back to the story. Let's see, I got some stars in my notes here.
Is Josie's name Josie, or is it short for like Josephine or something?
They only refer to her as Josie.
Okay. Is it Josie or Josie?
Josie, like Josie and the Pussycats.
Okay.
Well, yeah, so Josie starts getting into her crazy life story, and basically she starts off with describing her childhood being this terrible childhood with an overbearing mother, and basically meeting this man that was 20 years her senior.
Red flag.
When she was 15.
Red flag.
Actually, I believe it's 30 years her senior. 20 to 30 years her senior.
Red flag.
Yeah.
Flag on the play. Flag on the play.
And this guy Walter, that her husband, she portrays him as a total pedophile.
Well, 15 and then 30 years older.
Yeah. He had 2 kids and a wife when he started dating Josie. On her 16th birthday, they finally consummate their relationship.
It was so hard for you to say that, wasn't it?
I was trying to think of the correct word to
they
use
copulated,
for this.
fornicated.
And not looking into British law, but it borderline legal if morally terribly wrong. Pretty much.
Yuck. Red flag. Red
As
flag.
we were discussing in our book club group in the United States, there are states where that would be legal, as terrible as that is, thankfully, most states are changing that now, finally.
No comment. Not the time or the place.
Anyways, so Walter's wife obviously divorces him when she discovers this. They move from England to Canada to get away. Smart woman.
Still within the Commonwealth, so yeah.
Yeah. And Josie and Walter end up having 2 children. And we find out pretty quickly that they have a lot of problems. The older one, Roxy, has a lot of anger issues, and the younger sister, Erin, has a lot of mental issues. They were never clear in the beginning of what they were. But basically, you find out that she only eats baby food, or food that's been ground up into like a mush, and basically she stays in her bedroom all the time playing. We assume is just on her computer. We don't know what she's doing yet. And of course, my mind is going to the deepest, darkest places, because if you got a pedophile like Walter with 2 daughters, and you get one that's violent, one that's recluse, that's just talking about all sorts of bad trauma going on in the house.
Yes.
But you start getting some warning flags from Josie also pretty quick that something's not right with her.
Well, no, because she picked him. Red flag.
Picked him, stayed with him.
Stayed.
She clearly knows there's something going on between her husband and her younger daughter.
Oh, is there really?
You're gonna have to wait.
Why? Oh, yuck.
But something else is going on where she's starting to do petty thievery of stuff in Alex's house. Like they have her going through their garbage on their little ring thing. Those doorbells that can videotape.
Mm-hmm.
Stealing a magazine out of their garbage. Josie, like the soap dispenser in the bathroom disappears, or perfume disappears, or a bracelet disappears from Alex's house, and she's like, "This is kind of weird. I don't understand what's going on. Why these things are disappearing?" Willfully not connecting it to Josie, because she's got problems with, I said, her alcoholic husband, who is going on benders most nights and not coming in until the late hours of the next day, and having 2 small children that she's also taking care of. That's adding to that stress, because the kids are like, "Where's Dad? Why is Dad not here with dinner with us tonight? Why is Dad not here on the weekends for my piano recital?" That kind of stuff. And Josie's also starting to attack Alex's life, basically saying how terrible her husband is, how she needs to become a stronger woman like all of the women in her podcast and drop that sucker and move on, and they'll both have amazing, strong lives.
Oh man.
Going into this, I'm like, okay, this is gonna tear on the men, but you quickly realize that the male characters aren't 2-dimensional. They're very fleshed out. And remember the name of her husband here. Another thing that's going on. So the way the book is set up, because it is Alex is a podcaster recording famous podcasts, starts the chapters will have these little headers going on about the podcast being turned into a Netflix TV show.
Ooh.
They'll have excerpts from the show or excerpts from the podcast.
I bet it's trash reality TV, and I would love it.
Oh, it's totally up your alley.
Oh, yes. Can we just call him Bob?
I will find it, so I'll be...
He's going to have to edit like 20 minutes of this. Do bears eat skunks?
If they're desperate.
Okay.
We'll call him Mr. Summers.
There you go. Woohoo! You did it.
Anyway, so where was I? So Mr. Summers is having drinking problems. He goes out with his buddies who cover for him all the time, and just you get a lot of questions going on. But he hates Josie. He hates that she is in the house. She just gives off bad vibes. One of the things she does, she wears all denim all the time.
Oh, the 90s called. Yeah. Brittany and Justin want those back.
Yeah, and at one point, Josie convinces Alex to take her shopping for new clothes for the new person she's going to be, and that she has like 2 outfits, and that's all she wears, and it's basically something that Alex wears, the kind of things Alex wears. So they're looking more and more like sisters, I guess you could say, not twins, but that's kind of what she's basically has that attitude that she's trying to take over Alex's life. She wants to become Alex, and it's just... You get all these bad vibes off of her.
You are not selling me on this book. If your goal right now is to sell me on this book.
Well, what do you expect? This isn't a... I guess, why? How am I not selling you on this book?
I enjoy thrillers. This sounds like I would, if I were reading it at the beach, I would be not sad if it got wet and drifted elsewhere.
So the first bit of it, it's kind of slow. You're like, okay, where's this going? And then it said Josie pretty quickly starts
She does weird stuff.
doing weird stuff. Kind of, you start getting hints. Okay, something's not right here, and knowing that, hey, this is supposed to be a thriller. Something's gonna happen. You start like, okay, what's gonna happen? You get that excitement of, okay, what's she gonna do? Because you know Josie's gonna do something.
So she disappears.
Not yet.
Oh my gosh. Make her go away.
So
You're the one with the notebook. Make her go away.
well, she convinces Alex to interview her mother, Maxine.
Alex's mom or Josie's mom?
Josie's mom.
Okay.
And so they go to this, what do you call it?
Restaurant?
No,
Lounge,
basically it's
strip
like
club.
a housing project
Okay.
where Maxine is basically Queen Bee rules the roost. Finds out Maxine was this highly successful, brilliant woman when she was in college, on the fast track to becoming like first woman CEO kind of stuff. Gets knocked up, has to drop out of school, take care of the kid.
Who is Josie?
Who is Josie. And she basically runs this association now, and everyone loves her because she has dedicated her whole life to this thing at the cost of losing her chance of a career and her daughter. So she's very demanding, very type 1 personality, very controlling. And it's kind of like, okay, I can see why Josie's kind of weird, because clearly there was some neglect of some sort, not necessarily bad neglect, but obviously enough that Josie's marrying a guy who is 42 when she's 16. And so it's like, okay, I can't, but Josie's story is starting to seem sus, a little suspect here. So then Josie convinces Alex to invite Josie and Walter, the old husband, over for dinner, so that the Summer, Mr. and Mrs. Summers, and Mr. and Mrs. Walter or Mr. and Mrs. Fair can have a get together, and the boys can talk and the girls can talk about podcast stuff. Mr. Summer goes out with his friends instead and gets drunk and doesn't come home that night. So, of course, Josie's using this as an excuse to lay into the husband, and she's noticing all these flaws with the house and its clutteredness. And basically you're seeing that, this picture-perfect house isn't really picture-perfect because, again, humans. But for somehow Josie convinces Walter and Alex to go out to the studio to show it off without her there. Very awkward. But Walter is alone with Alex, and he says to her basically, hey, don't believe everything Josie says. She likes to manipulate people. Leaves it at that. Walks out, had 2 beers. They go home, and Alex is all like, what the hell is that about? He's like, I know she's not being totally honest with me, but whoever is, well, Josie and Walter get back home, and
then she disappears.
No. She lays into Walter for ruining the night, for being a drunk and awkward, and we find out that she was actually listening to the two when they were in the studio. She was standing outside in the garden, eavesdropping, saying, you're trying to ruin me. And then she starts calling him a pedophile. And then we get end of chapter, end of part. I think that's end of part 2. Next thing you know, she's showing up at Alex Summers' house, all beat up, saying that Walter beat me. I need a place to stay. I have nowhere else to go. So she moves in for like 2 weeks, wearing Alex's clothes, staying in the guest bedroom, basically following the children around. She has one of those little purse dogs that's shitting all over the place. Just being a terrible house guest, refusing to go to the cops, saying that her daughter is staying with friends who, according to her earlier, daughter had no friends because she never leaves the house, and refusing to go home, refusing to go to her mom, refusing to go to work even. And of course the husband, Mr. Summer, is like, get her the hell out of my house.
He's so excited about this turn of events.
So he's like, we have problems because I have a drinking problem. We can't work on it until she's out of the house. And until she gets out of the house, I'm going to go out drinking every night because I don't want to be here because she creeps me the fuck out.
Meanwhile, Walter's decomposing at the bottom of the steps.
Pretty much.
Yeah?
Pretty much.
Ew.
I mean, it gets to the point where Alex is like, I need to get out of the house just to get away from this woman because she is not giving me a moment's peace. She follows me around the house after I drop the kids off to school. She goes by Josie's house to look in, and the place looks just like it's empty. It's like, this is weird. Like, supposedly Walter always sits at his computer by the window and sits on his computer scrolling through something, and it's kind of indicated that it's not quite legal, aka pedophile stuff.
You.
That's what, Josie never says it, but that's kind of what she is hinting at when she's saying what he's doing.
Does he work for the FBI? Is that why he has to look at
He's a retired handyman.
Oh, no comment. Oh.
So yeah. So we said Josie's well overstayed her welcome. Alex's husband says either she goes or I go. Alex says, okay, I got the perfect plan. My 2 sisters are coming with their kids for the weekend. We need the spare bedroom. Alex is like, great. Or Alex's husband was like, great. I'm going to go out drinking with my buddies. You kick her out. Your sisters come over. You girls have your girls' night. I'll come back late at night when they're all going to bed. And Alex like, if you come back sober, I will have sex with you. Please don't drink.
Well then.
So he goes off and gets roaring drunk.
Missed opportunity, sir. Like she was a willing partner there.
And Alex is going on about how skeevy it feels that she has to convince her husband to not go out drinking. Just to it's like, I will have sex with you to that is kind of icky, kind of a thought that's what it's come to. But he's out with his buddies. Josie's disappeared as far as Alex is concerned, but we're still kind of following her because she's following the husband. Like, he doesn't know it, and we know that she's got some weird plan hatched. And so then it jumps to where the story began, where we find out it's Alex's husband, Mr. Summer, in the hotel, and Josie's picking him up. And they officially disappear.
So he willingly went to the hotel with
this woman,
a sex worker.
We assume.
Okay, yes. Sorry, I shouldn't make assumptions. And did things happen with this woman?
We're getting there.
Oh my god!
Because now Alex has a missing person, and she's like, "What's going on?" It's the weekend. Police don't really care. Like, this guy has a drinking problem and a disappearing problem anyways. He's probably just sleeping off a bender.
She has a podcast. She could have done this. Is she white? Because that's like the trifecta, right?
Yeah, she's white.
A white woman with a podcast.
And she's trying to get a hold of her husband's buddy that he always goes drinking with, and the guy's acting all shady, like, "Oh, I can't tell you. I don't know what's up. He was fine when I saw him last." And
I hate the bro code.
Yeah. She ends up going to his house and confronting him in front of his wife and kids. And the guy's finally like, okay, yes, we were all drinking. There was a woman there. We left him with the woman. We don't think he was going to do anything, though, because he loves you too much.
No, men are dumb.
On top of it, Alex is now finding stuff that's indicating that he has been seeing women when he goes out drinking. Like a phone number with a woman's name on it. I forget what else. Well, true to the story, none of this is true. Josie set the whole thing up to get back at the husband and Alex for kicking her out.
So Josie hired sex workers?
It's even better than that.
Oh, was it her children?
No.
Okay.
No. So
it's fucked up. But she
as this whole mystery is unfolding, we're learning that Josie stole her youngest daughter's money.
How did this kid get money?
Well, we're getting there. But,
oh my God, did she sell herself online?
But it was like $20,000 she stole from her daughter. Of course, I'm thinking that the daughter's dead with Walter because Josie has this psycho streak in her that is like, ugh. So she plants a bunch of evidence that indicates that
Homeboy's having affairs.
Okay. But he's not. The phone numbers are for clients.
Clients?
For his business.
Oh, okay.
The woman was an actress that Josie knew and happened to run into one day when the woman was like, hey, I can't find any work. Josie was like, remember that? Called her up a few weeks later. Said, hey, for $1,000, I need you to try to honey trap this guy. You don't have to actually do anything. So she sends this actress to the bar to cozy up to the husband, flirt with him. Apparently, the husband's going on about how he's going to get laid that night with his wife, but he's too busy taking shots because he can't stop himself. And he gets to the point where his friend's like, we're out of here. You're a mess. And he's like, I'm not leaving. I'm going to keep drinking. The woman stays with him. She gets him to the hotel that Josie had set up, rented a room, throws him on the bed, takes her underwear off to make it look like they did something, crumple him up and throw him in the bathroom. He ends up thinks he calls home to get picked up by his wife, but it's really the girl texting Josie, get the fuck over here so that you can get this guy out of here and I can go home with my $1,000. He gets angry when she won't let him leave, pushes her out of the way where she bangs her head, so there's blood now in the room. So Alex is thinking, like, when she first sees the room, because she figures out where the hotel he's at, sees the room, sees the crumpled up underwear, sees the blood, and she's like, what the hell is going on here? But thinks it's an affair, but she finds out that no, this is all under Josie's daughter's name, all these transactions. And then Josie picks him up and takes off, kidnaps him. Meanwhile, they discover that Walter is dead, and Erin was tied up in a closet. The only way she lived was because she'd been there for several weeks. There was a dirty mop with water still on it that she was able to suck on to stay alive. Otherwise, she would have basically perished. So we find out that Walter's still on the pervert side, but the reason why he met Josie's not because he was fixing up Josie's mom's sink or whatever. He was actually dating Josie's mom.
Ew.
Having an affair.
That's even worse.
And Josie basically entrapped him. She wanted to hurt her mother because she didn't like her mom. So she would...
I want to shower and bleach now.
So, but basically, and again, it's one of those things where you're like, still fucking wrong, but you almost feel like, okay, the guy's obviously not the sharpest tack in the box.
He made bad choices.
He's
a red flag.
But again, they never explicitly say it, but it almost sounds like the first time they have sex, he was the one that was drunk, and she basically blackmailed him, and then basically ruled his life. And the only thing that he had to get out of the house was his handyman job, and he'd spend many hours out of the house. He was not diddling his kids. Matter of fact, his kids adored him. He was very good with his kids. The reason why he was always on his computer, he was talking to his sons from his first wife in Canada all the time. He was also running his youngest daughter's business because she was a professional gamer. And he'd do the Twitch, she was doing the Twitch thing, and because she didn't like to talk,
he talked for her.
He'd sit behind her every night and run commentary while she was playing games. And I guess he was quite the comedian. And then he was the one that was selling merch for her and doing, running the business to support her. And she had like $40,000 in the bank and was getting ready to move out, to get out from under her mom's thumb. The older daughter had the anger problems, had run away after her girlfriend had suddenly disappeared because they had a fight because Josie had been upset that how dare this other kid come into my life that I can't control. Turns out Josie had murdered her and shoved her in a storage locker.
There are so many red flags everywhere.
Yeah. But so the story ends with Alex's husband being killed and Josie running on the lam and never getting caught.
So there's going to be like a book 2?
No, I guess this author isn't really big in writing sequels.
Oh, thank God.
But Josie has the gall to be constantly writing Alex saying, how dare you make me look so bad in your podcast, and your husband, you deserve better than your husband. We're the same now. That is, typical psycho serial killer type stuff to taunt.
This author had to sit with these characters.
Mm-hmm.
This author needs help.
Mm-hmm. But I said the story ended up being actually a lot of fun. I mean, not in a good way, but it was a good story. It was fast paced. You definitely, even me going in cynically about it was shocked, but nothing was so far off the wall that it's like, okay, this is too unbelievable of a story twist. It ends up happy story for Erin and Roxy. They are able to reunite and basically get a home for Erin and continue her business and all that stuff. It was just overall good ending for them. Alex finds out that her and her husband were terrible with money. No savings, no life insurance, no money. And her podcast never, even though she was a big podcaster, never made any money enough to really support their lifestyle or even just living. So that's why she ends up having to finish her, actually do this whole podcast, turn it to a true crime podcast for herself. And then when Netflix comes in, she has to sell it just so that she can keep their apartment and feed her 2 kids while she looks for a real job, which she's never had one because her husband said was making 6 figures.
What's that like?
I don't know. You married the wrong guy.
For real. And I also am in the wrong occupation.
Yep. So yeah, that's the story. So I enjoyed it. So I ended up being happy I read it. So thank you, Becky. So I thought that the character studies of Josie and Alex were really interesting. I thought the unbelievable bits were Alex's lack of listening to the red flags coming at her, which there were a lot. But Josie's character just hit all the right spots for the wrong reasons, and for just a creepy character. And you could definitely see someone getting sucked in by her, and then getting horribly murdered because she was batshit crazy.
Do you think it's an allegory for other people?
Like who?
This is not the kind of podcast. Anyway.
I think this was just a fun thriller story that the author was like.
But if you blindly follow someone, they might murder your family.
I think current political upheaval at the time we're recording this, you are a little triggered.
Don't, no. Nope, because just the other day, you were like, yeah, maybe you were right 4 years ago, 6 years ago, whatever it was.
Anyways.
Yeah, he's not going to admit now.
But yeah, so I call this a 4 out of 5, 4.5 out of 5 star story. So I enjoyed it. Definitely best surprise so far of the year for me for reading. You know, I have my usual questions here. You want me to go over them, or you want to read them to me, or?
Well, you already have answers to your questions.
I do have answers.
Oh, boy.
So, like, I have the first question here is, with the title of the book, were you suspicious from the start? So the book title, as I said, is None of This Is True. And if I hadn't read this question, getting ready for reading this book, knowing that I was going to do a recording, I probably would have easily just not have connected it, I guess. Like, it would just, you know, I don't know, with you with book titles, sometimes you're not thinking about it when you're reading the book. So it's not really, that's the big hint. And of course, I'm going into it thinking, it's like, okay, every lie has to have a grain of truth, otherwise it's not believable. So I went in initially looking for, okay, what's real and what's fake. It's like, okay, yes, Walter is a pedophile, but obviously something here is exaggerated, and there's all this stuff not being said that indicating that there's worse stuff going on in the home, that he's beating her or hurting his children or something. So you kind of, even, you know, knowing that, hey, supposedly none of this is true, I was still getting sucked into, like, oh, okay, this guy's still wrong.
He's still a pedophile.
Still a pedophile.
Like, shit happened, yes.
Yeah, shit happened, but
he's still a pedophile.
Well, again, it sounds like none of it was technically illegal. So everything fell within the law for that stuff. So heebie-jeebies, yes. Very wrong, yes. But he did nothing illegal. So do you understand what I'm saying?
Not so. I guess I don't quite understand how the law. So there was no, like, maximum age. So he was sexually assaulted, yes, 100%. But within that, he's also a pedophile because his, like, it's.
As I said, so I believe this date is legal age of consent is 18. If legal age of consent is 16, the first time he sleeps with her is on her 16th birthday. Technically, that is legal, even if he is, what's the word for setting him up to that age?
Grooming?
Yeah, if he's grooming. So as long as he never does anything sexually explicit with her up until that point, nothing illegal happened. And it's very hard to prove grooming unless if you have some sort of written thing.
When he wanted no part of this, right?
Of
being with her. Or did he want her and the mom?
No, it sounded like he was more into the mom. After they had dated for a year or so, all of a sudden Josie is showing him all this interest, and he did something stupid because he was probably drunk. But it sounded like it, you know, like at one point it said, oh, it was my 15th birthday, and he comes by, gives me a bracelet. You find out afterwards, no, he gave her the bracelet for her birthday. He didn't just stop by. He'd been dating his mom, dating Josie's mom, and it was her birthday, and he was there to celebrate her birthday, and so he bought her a little bracelet. He's just like, you know, what else do you buy a 15-year-old girl?
Taylor Swift tickets.
I don't think Taylor Swift was around at that point. Well, she was probably alive, but she wasn't singing yet. But you know what I mean? So I said, it was completely innocent once you have the context. But from Josie's story, you're thinking, oh, this guy is grooming her. And then you find out that, no, she went out of her way to hurt her mom. It's caused this huge scandal. Or her mom, she can't talk to her mom anymore because her mom won't talk to her anymore because, like, no, you basically entrapped this guy. And, you know, it is skeezy as hell. And yeah, he is skeezy as hell too because he fell for it. But, you know, he is like, okay, I did this. I am going to stick with her because, you know, that I don't know. I don't know. Again, not the sharpest tack in the box. The bulb does not quite light up the room. Okay. Have you ever bonded someone over a random coincidence, like a birthday twin type thing?
Isn't that what a cult is? Because I've been a member of many.
Something that seems like it's completely random that you have in common with someone else. You're like, oh, we should be best friends.
Isn't that what every little kid does at a pool?
Pretty much. Pretty
Like,
much.
then we're, or, you know,
But at 45, would you do that, you think? Or at 35?
I have no friends, so maybe. My only friend is dead in our yard right now.
The baby skunk was not your friend. It is stinking up the yard. The only good thing about it right now is it's going to keep the homeless people this weekend away while the pot festival is going on. In the back.
Oh my gosh, we're not going to be able to know if it's the pot or the skunk. Oh man. Oh man.
Hey, another question I put in here was, why does Alex basically put up with Josie's creepiness?
Because she has no friends either.
But she does, and she. Okay, so she's going on about her husband being a drunk, going on binges every night. She's drinking a half a bottle of wine by herself every night, waiting for him. She's going out with her sisters for liquid brunches and lunches most days. So yeah, it's one of those things where
The way that society views how men and women drink is very interesting, because a woman finishing half a bottle of wine isn't like, that's just sort of the norm. I mean, think about all of those signs at not necessarily Target, but like the craft stores. It's wine o'clock, wine and dine. I mean, we were even at someone's house over vacation, and they had a couple of the wine decoration things too. So it's a culture thing.
I get that, but it's like at the same time, it's like, okay, you are drinking maybe not as heavily as the husband or out of control, but it's like you're still heavily drinking, and you have 2 small kids in the house, and it's like you need a.
But again, and if she's doing it at brunch,
Yeah.
another socially acceptable time,
Yeah.
and she's with her sister, so it's that socially acceptable.
And I get that. It's like we've had a debate before about guys or people that drink whiskey versus beer, and how the people that drink the whiskey, even if they're drinking the same amount of alcohol content, the person that drinks the whiskey is considered the alcoholic, or the guy that's putting away a 6-rack of Bud Light or a 30-rack of Bud Light is, oh, that's okay.
What's a 30 rack?
Case of beer, that's 30 beers in the case.
It just makes me want to puke.
It's a lot of peeing. A lot of peeing. But yeah, it's like, you know, with all these red flags, why is Alex still going ahead with this podcast? And it's like, you know, she's so caught up with it. She wants to.
It's a cult.
Yeah, she
of her own making.
She's so desperate to have something exciting in her life because she's bored. She's a bored housewife essentially that doesn't know what to do with herself. Her podcast isn't quite what it used to be, and yeah, she just needs something to fill her time with, and this seemed like an interesting opportunity, and she's willing to. What got me, like I mentioned at the book club, is she's got 2 young kids in her house, and she's inviting this stranger into her house who's showing all these red flags, leaving Josie alone with her kids, person that she doesn't really know. They have like 5-10 hours worth of content recorded, and this woman's just living in her house now. No thank you.
No comment.
What?
I don't know. We let strange people with our kids all the time. Have you seen the people we hang out with?
But we at least know them, and they're not setting up red flags.
They know
Alex is not a stranger danger person. That would be my brother. Thank you very much. Another thing is here is, you know, why does Josie think Alex will change her life? Because, you know, basically Josie's using Alex as her catalyst to get out of this rut that she's in. Because I don't think Josie, for how cunning she wasn't very bright. She knew how to manipulate, but she wasn't able to do it consciously. And so she's saying, hey, this woman is interviewing all these women that have changed their lives for the better. If I talk to this woman, maybe my life will change for the better. Not understanding that, no, these women are talking to Alex well after the fact, and they had to get themselves out of whatever bad situation they were in and then work on themselves. It wasn't going to someone else to make their lives better for them. And I don't think Josie had the capabilities to recognize that.
Most people don't want to do the work.
No, that's the other thing, is Josie didn't want to do the work. She wanted to take over Alex's life and just become Alex, because she saw this Instagram profile of picture perfect life. She's like, I want that, so therefore I will become this person. I will slowly infiltrate their life like a parasite.
It's going to be very beige, y'all. Like, that's what a lot of influencers are. They're very beige. They make fun of millennials for liking beige. Well,
I thought you liked beige.
I don't like beige. I like gray. But I also like color. Remember, I dyed my hair pink, but it was supposed to be purple.
And you hated it.
Because you didn't like it. You were mean.
I wasn't mean.
He was mean.
I wasn't mean.
He was mean.
Yeah.
He called me all sorts of names.
Yeah. If I wind up dead, you'll know why.
Why are you going to wind up dead?
Because you're going to beat me to death.
Why would I leave evidence?
Okay, then. We're going to keep this in the recording so that when I disappear, you'll know what happened.
He's not going to disappear because of me. He's going to disappear because he's going to be able to buy a house in the mountains of New Hampshire. And he's going to become a hermit, which is has now his lifelong, his new dream of life. He's only going to crawl out of his hut during the winter so he can ski.
I'll crawl out in the summer to go hike. I still got some 4,000 footers to go.
My God, you'll be able to smell him before you see him.
Okay, so...
Where in your notebook are you?
So we're gonna do one more question here.
When you visit the shack, you'll find notebooks everywhere.
In the last scene of the story, Josie's on a bus contemplating her past, her recent past, her distant past. Basically, she's shifting blame off of herself onto those in her life. And she's able to convince herself that what she's telling Alex and all these other people is the real truth, not something that she just came up with. And I guess the question is, do we think that she really does believe that, or if it's just a pleasant lie that she can help her sleep? And basically, so Roxy's girlfriend, I think her name was Brooke, is found killed, and Josie's saying, oh no, Roxy's the one that killed her. I just helped hide the body to keep her out of trouble. And Walter apparently knew about this, but was so afraid of Josie.
Red flags.
Because it turns out she was beating him, and he was, when he was in his 50s and 60s, and he basically couldn't defend himself because he was basically let himself go and was, a shriveled old man at that point. And, he was trying to protect his girls. So he allowed Josie to kill this girl and hide the body. But Josie's saying, oh no, that was all Roxy. I was trying to protect her. And the whole thing with Alex's husband, that was an accident. I didn't mean to kill him. It's just, I just happened to overdose him because the drugs I was giving him weren't being effective enough. So it's not my fault that he died. And then I threw his body in the lake and left it, trying to hide it. But that was just because I needed to get away before the cops came, because they wouldn't believe a word I said. And I really did Alex a favor by getting rid of this husband because he was no good for her. And Walter deserved to die because he abused me, not the other way around. And I guess I think she did believe those lies. I think she was such a compulsive liar and she was so narcissistic and psychopathic, so that she was able to convince herself. Oh, you have a comment?
I was just going to say, get two white women with a podcast. They'll find her. Changing up the meme a bit.
Yeah, so it says. So she's able to convince herself that, no, she is the victim, even though she's a victim of her own doing, her own, everything she's doing is her. It's not the other people around her. People around her are trying to help her. I mean, maybe they aren't the best people. Like her mother, definitely controlling and overbearing. Walter, red flags, as we said. But it sounds like she had every opportunity to get away from Walter if she had wanted to. She had a job.
What direction is this bus heading?
They don't say.
Okay, well, when you're in your hut, don't let anyone else in.
I don't think the bus comes to where I want to go.
Somehow you attract weird people sometimes. I've seen it happen.
Not like you and your parents.
Well, I usually do it in a public place because I do not wish to be a hermit in the mountains in a hut. That is not my life goal right now.
I don't understand why. You'd be perfectly happy sitting by the fire reading your books.
Yeah, but could there be, other people there?
Yeah, me,
No.
children.
No. I mean,
A dog, maybe.
no, like other people, more people than that.
I'm sure my mom will come and visit occasionally.
And that would be fine. But again, more people.
Alex will come over.
Dear God.
to record podcast.
Two of you have to read books, though, before you can do that.
I read books. I read this book. I like this book. I don't know why you're making fun of me. So, any other questions or comments or commentary? You're going to make fun of me some more?
They told you I had a basket of barbs or darts, verbal darts.
Okay. I'll remember this for next time you're doing a podcast.
Oh, I can hardly wait.
So, you good?
I don't know how to feel about this book.
No? I think you should read it. It'll only take you about 5 hours, I promise.
I'm not going to lie. Thrillers are not my thing.
What? I thought you liked thrillers.
No, I like true crime. There's a difference. I think it's because they.
I normally don't like thrillers either, because often find that the plot twist trying to get that big surprise, it gets so ridiculous.
Well, I have this thing about whiny characters, and both of them sound very whiny. And every thriller seems to have one whiny person who seems to belong more in a Hallmark movie, and then becomes.
You say everything I read has whiny characters though.
Well, they do. Have you read The Lord of the Rings? Who cares, Bilbo? Nobody cares that you're 111. Nobody. They don't want to be at that party. They're only there for Gandalf and his frickin' fireworks. It's the only thing they want, sir.
Okay, well,
and Frodo, let's talk about Frodo.
Everyone, thanks for listening.
whiny characters.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Let's cut Becky off now before she goes down this rabbit hole for the next 3 hours.
That'll be my next bonus podcast. Whiny characters.
So, if you enjoyed this episode, recommend us to your friends.
Please do it so he'll stop telling me to tell my friends, because I don't have any. The skunk is dead.
The skunk got bored and died.
They listened to one too many of my pleas.
Listen to one too many podcasts, probably. We are on all of the major podcast apps, so we also have an Instagram at kendallbookworms. You can email us at kendallbookworms@gmail.com. You can DM us or give us a rating or a comment on Spotify or Apple. We're on Podbean. You could go there too. But definitely get a hold of us. We'd love to hear from you. Alex has some books out for sale. The Amazon link, it will be in the description.
Please talk to them. They need new friends.
Yeah, we would love book recommendations for these bonus episodes. If you're an author, we would love to hear from you and maybe give you an interview. Something, anything.
Please help so they don't
Spotify,
live in the hut.
I often put questions on there, so you can always go in or a poll on there. You can always go in there, drop a comment there to answer to the poll. Those are always fun. Give us some interactions, though. We'd love to see it. Anything else from you, Becky? Or are you done?
How are you going to do this living in a hut?
Quite simply. Okay, well, that is all. Thanks for listening. This has been Bookworms.
Bye, worms.